plastic tubes and pots and pans, bits and pieces, and the magic from my hand will make a weird sight.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's video. I'm going to talk a little bit about protein. Lots of different forms of protein out there, and you can see, just for the record, I have a different hat on. A lot of times we have to wear different hats. A lot of you know that I am a science guy, and so again, this week I want to talk about protein. This is barley that's just getting harvested on our place this year. It's harvested based on the different protein content that it has in it. They want to have a maximum protein content, but there's, again, different types of protein. We have protein from not only wheat and in our flour products, but we also have protein that comes from our meat and our beef, as well as eggs, chicken, and milk. So one of the things that's unique about the wheat protein or protein in grains is that it is not very high in branched-chain amino acids. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit here in a minute. All right, welcome everybody. I wanted to talk a little bit more about proteins and then the amino acids and how this all kind of ties back into what makes a good protein for building lean muscle. So I mentioned briefly about some different protein sources that we have in our food. We have soy protein, vegetable proteins. We have a protein from wheat. A lot of you have heard about gluten. Protein in eggs is called albumin. There are lots of different types of protein in meat. Two major proteins in milk: casein, which actually comes from the curds portion, and then whey, which is a separate portion of the protein in milk, or a different type of protein in milk, and that's actually a faster absorbing protein versus casein, which tends to be a little slower absorbing. So if you take a proteins, the building blocks of proteins are amino acids, and there are anywhere between 20 and now some say 22 different types of amino acids or building blocks. Within those are what are called the essential amino acids, and that means those amino acids which the body cannot produce. Of those essential amino acids are what I call the live amino acids. Those are the ones we need to live. It stands for leucine, isoleucine, and valine. Those amino acid names are not important, but what is important is they are they are called branched chain amino acids. Now these amino acids have a very special characteristic because they are not actually broken down in the liver, they're actually broken down in muscle cells, because those are the essential building blocks and are very important in building muscle protein and as well as helping muscle structure rebuild itself. So when you break down a protein, when you eat a protein, it gets broken down into amino acids through a compound called a protease. So what I wanted to do is lend your attention to this Christmas tree stand, the strand of lights. And if you can imagine, each different light bulb is a different type of amino acid. So imagine that there were 22 different colors of amino acids, 22 different colors of light bulbs on this Christmas tree strand of lights. And again, each different colored light bulb would represent a different type of amino acid. Now if you imagine my hand is the protease, so say for example this is a whey protein right here. My hand would be the protease, and its job is to clip apart each little light bulb to make it into one little piece, which then gets reassembled into a new protein in our body for something that we use. We can't use casein, but we can use other proteins. We build other proteins in our body from those amino acid building blocks that are in this casein protein. Say, for example, this is one of those proteins. Now, the interesting thing here is that proteins do have different types of structures. So I wanted to represent those as different types of fruit. So even though these are all types of fruit, you can see obviously they have very different structures. So just for illustration, if you can imagine, a gluten protein might look like this cluster of grapes, an albumin protein might look like this apple, and then perhaps the whey protein looks like a pear. So each protein has a little bit different structure, and it does have a three-dimensional shape to it. Now the important part of where this comes into play is that when you heat a protein, what happens is it becomes denatured. What denatured means is just a fancy scientific term meaning unraveled. So if we go back to the Christmas tree strand of lights here, when you heat a protein, again, it starts to unravel just like this Christmas tree light strand is. So you can see all the light bulbs are still there, but they're not in the same shape that they were originally. Now, this has significance because my hand, which is the tool that is supposed to clip the individual light bulbs off the strand to then help in rebuilding a new protein, doesn't recognize the strand the same if it's unraveled, okay? Now, proteins become unraveled anytime they're heated. So this is significant because, especially with milk, it is what's called pasteurized, which means it's heated to kill all the bacteria, as well as homogenized to keep all the cream and the milk mixed together. So it's heated as well as it's beaten. So what that does is that definitely changes the protein structure, even though all the light bulbs are the same, but the protein doesn't look the same. And so when the body goes to break it down and clip those light bulbs out to reassemble, it doesn't do it nearly as efficiently as a protein that has not been unraveled, or what's called a native protein. So proteins that have not been heated, your body uses most efficiently. So this is why, in my opinion, the best protein for building lean muscle is a whey protein, okay, that's fast absorbed, so that after your exercise, you get that good protein in your body. It's high in branched chain amino acids, so therefore it's readily available to be used to build muscle. And again, in my opinion, the best type of whey protein here is an undenatured or unraveled whey protein, which means it's not been heated or beaten apart, so it retains that structure similar to the structure in this pear, for example, which I represented as a whey protein. Again, your body recognizes this and it can be absorbed quickly into your body. Thank you, everybody. I hope that made a little sense.
Imagination with science.